I suppose people know Chris Ofili's work maybe through the Turner Prize, maybe through the presentation of The Upper Room, but this is an opportunity to really trace his development over a period of less than 2 decades. Of course, he is still just 41. This is not the last word. I think there are going to be many more surveys to come. But it seemed like a good moment, not least because the artist's work has changed so considerably and significantly since his move to Trinidad in 2005. And actually about a third of the work in this show has not been shown here in the UK. So there's a lot for people to discover as well as enjoy. Chris Ofili was born in Manchester in 1968. He thought he might study furniture design. He was told he had to go and do a foundation course, and he thought that would be a bit of a waste of time, but he had to do it, so he did it. And in the course of that, he discovered painting. He hadn't ever really painted before. Painting and drawing at school was a very technical affair, and the revelation for him in doing the foundation course was that painting could be about self-expression. It wasn't about right or wrong, it was about feeling your way into it, and he was encouraged by his tutor to discover it for himself, and it was really a totally liberating discovery for him. And he went on to Chelsea Art College from 1989 to 91, then to the Royal College of Art from 91 to 93. And in the course of those studies, he was really pushing harder to work out what painting had to do with him. From the start, he was seeking to find his own voice, and I think that's something that you see consistently. While he was there, he continued to work using the dung, and in fact staged a kind of performance in a street market in Berlin, where he laid out dung balls on a piece of fabric on the ground. So in between someone selling albums and somebody else selling jewellery, he just displayed these dung balls. He wasn't selling them, but he was testing, I suppose, to see what people's response to this material was. And maybe testing his own response as well. He did the same in the Brick Lane market when he came back to London. And this object, this sculpture, Shithead, is something that he produced as a result of that experience of looking at people's responses to him in front of this dung ball. The Holy Virgin Mary at the far end of the room, I suppose, is one of his most notorious paintings, but remember that this work was shown at the Royal Academy in 1997 without causing any controversy whatsoever as part of the Saatchi collection shown in the Sensation exhibition. It's worth also remembering that Chris Ofili has a Catholic upbringing. He was an altar boy and went weekly to church, and that experience is truly an important part of him. And in that painting, I think we see him trying to find a way of working with the contradictions that were there in his head between his religious upbringing, the prostitution in King's Cross, knowing that the National Gallery, by the way, is full of images of the Virgin Mary, often quite sexually, not explicit in that way, but he was kind of intrigued by this contradiction of a virgin mother, the virgin who gave birth. The inquiry into Stephen Lawrence's racist murder in 1993 was going on and was being played out in the media. And Chris was really struck by Doreen Lawrence in particular, the mother of Stephen Lawrence, at the dignity with which she spoke about her grief and the kind of shameful events of that whole murder, and indeed the investigation into the murder in which the Metropolitan Police were found to have made so many mistakes. that was being played out in the media. He was very moved by Doreen Lawrence and decided to work with that as a subject. And something that you may not be able to see, maybe if you come up close you can see, there's actually a phosphorescent painting underneath the surface that we see. And he has written the words R.I.P. Stephen Lawrence and his birth and year of his death right across the top, middle and bottom of the painting. So it's a kind of memorial to Stephen Lawrence and a commemoration of the dignity of Doreen Lawrence in her grief. Inside the teardrops you'll see portraits of Stephen Lawrence, and Chris was remembering that he thinks there's a picture of Stephen Lawrence inside the dung ball that is a kind of locket on the neck. Is that in the early days, he was doing a lot of the talking and the paintings were doing all of the listening. And he said now he's doing more of the listening. So he's working in a more open-minded way. He's much less controlling of the paint surface, whereas he might have wanted to work a passage more and more. Now he just lets it be and waits to see where it's going to go. So for him, being in Trinidad really is a new beginning, and that's one of the most exciting factors in the exhibition, is that, you know, he is just a young artist still and has some way to go. He's very excited about where his painting is at, and we look forward to seeing more. But meanwhile, I hope that you enjoy the exhibition and come back.